Pretty Little Liars, the TV show, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provided a list of content warnings in the episode description.
Hello and welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And today we have 2 more episodes of Pretty Little Liars for you.
We do.
Episodes 18 and 19.
Mm-hmm. Even though we watched it last night, it's like, well, I remember 19. It's like, what happened in 18 again?
The play.
Right. Yes. The
It's
play.
the
Thank you
play.
very much. The Bad Seed.
I would never forget the play.
Did we find out if that's a real play?
No, but I did write it down as a question to ask you, so I guess I assumed you would know.
I see.
You know what I just assume you're so smart.
Oh, thank you very much.
Assume you'll know.
It is. It's an old play from 1954 by Maxwell Anderson.
It's weird to think that it's like old when it's from 1954 when my grandma was born in 1920. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, oh, time is weird.
Totally. The play focuses on the seemingly perfect little girl, Rhoda Penmark, who's able to charm her way into getting just about anything she wants. Anything except a highly coveted penmanship award medal that her teacher has awarded to Claude Daigle, one of Rhoda's classmates. Claude goes missing, and Claude is discovered drowned near a pier. And Rhoda's mother begins to suspect that Rhoda had something to do with it after she finds the medal in her room. And then there are other sudden deaths surrounding the family, and so Christine starts to think that her daughter is doing this. Holy crap. And then Christine looks into her past, finds out that she was adopted, and that her biological mother was a ruthless serial killer. Near the end of the play, Christine decides to take Rhoda's life and her own. Jesus. She gives Rhoda sleeping pills, telling her they're vitamins, and then shoots herself in the head. Ooh. Rhoda survives because the sound of the gunshot has alerted the neighbors to investigate, and they find Rhoda just in time to save her. Damn, that's heavy.
Uh-huh. Why is Ezra Fitz allowed to do anything? This is the play he chose?
Apparently.
What teacher is this man?
And then he's freaked out when the weird girl is like, yes, I'm very interested in this play. And he's like, why would you be interested? You chose the play, jackass.
You picked it, crazy. So it is a real play.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess that's like, I see now also tying into the show of like, oh, it is evil, like inherited? Are you born evil?
Yes. Are you born evil?
This is like along the lines of Riverdale's serial killer gene.
It is.
It is. Which like, yeah, okay. I don't know about that one.
Not good.
Yeah, I don't buy into it.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you ready to take us through the plot of episode 18?
I am. Guess what it's called?
The Bad Seed.
No, the Badass Seed.
I think it was censored to the Bad Seed, though, depending
It's really
on.
funny. I don't get why the Badass. Yeah, I don't know. We open on a flyer for auditions for the Bad Seed, the play at school. Spencer mentions briefly about the summary there that it's an 8-year-old that kills someone over a penmanship award. The friends are all there for tryouts, but excuse me, Aria is the only one that's not auditioning. Hannah has only memorized parts of her, has not even memorized her lines, and Spencer's very aghast at this. Aria asks Hannah if her mom has found out about Caleb, and Hannah says no, but A found out and tells them all about it. Mona then comes over and tells the crew that she nailed the audition, and I'm sure the rest of the friends can find some smaller parts like trees. The friends...
There are no small parts in the theater.
Exactly. Just the worst. The friends see Mr. Fitz, and Spencer encourages Aria to start bringing, like, hey, you should bring him to hang around with us. Wouldn't that be great? And all the friends are like, yeah, totally. Like, you don't want to just, like, hang in his apartment all the time. Like, we should totally all hang out together. Jenna arrives and asks Mr. Fitz if she can compose the music for the play. Jenna asks if there's a reason he picked the play, as she finds the play inspiring. Fitz is very confused by that last line, like, inspiring. And Jenna's like, yes, I'm fascinated by the nature of evil.
Ask me about my murder.
She rubs her hands together. Spencer walks downstairs in the middle of the night and hears a baby crying. She sees a crib and walks over it before being grabbed from behind. She wakes up and it turns out it was all a dream. Spencer then actually walks downstairs to see Ian taping boxes. Ian is packing up old stuff with the baby coming. And you noted the box that he has there that he puts his big beer stein into also has like a football.
Yeah, he puts a beer stein from a frat and a football in a box together.
It's time to put my old manly things away.
Wouldn't you take the air out of the football so that you could store it flat if you were going to store it?
Interesting.
Is that a thing?
I don't know.
I don't own any.
I've always stored like football, basketballs and stuff just like
in a bin.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you were using them. Right. You weren't boxing them.
That's true.
Have you ever boxed up your sports balls?
No, no. Ian asked Spencer
Me, girl who did not play ball sports.
Right.
Don't you just
Why
flatten
wouldn't
it?
you do that? Yeah. Ian asked Spencer to come help him tape the box and like hold the lid down, and Spencer's reticent to come over, and he's like, I'm not gonna hurt you. He then tells Spencer about Melissa, that Melissa told him about Spencer saying it was something about Allie, and he's like, I had nothing to do with like her disappearance, but I'm not surprised she ended up that way. Spencer calls him on their relationship, and he describes it. Oh yeah, there was a relationship, but like she like stalked me, and I could sum it up in 2 words: get lost. He then tells Spencer Allie was always on offense. Ashley notices that they're going through groceries faster, and Hannah's like, oh, I've just had Caleb come over more. And Ashley's like, I already told you I don't want that boy in my house. Hannah asks if he can just stay in the guest room. He's not nowhere else to go. And Ashley says, no, not with this like Mrs. Potter thing hanging up in the air, and leaves. Hannah then lets Caleb up and asks how much he heard. And he's like, oh, not much, but I'll leave groceries on the porch as a gift.
And leave. I'll go.
Exactly, pretty much. Arya arrives at Fitz's doorstep, much to his surprise. He's like, "Oh, are you here because your dad wanted me to go get a beer with him? Like, I don't have to go." And Arya's like, "No, you should go get a beer with him. I want him to like you, and same with my friends." And he's like, "Wait, I'm confused how your friends got involved." And it's like, they already like me. And hey, guess what? They're all in the play.
Don't worry, I cast your friends in all the roles they want.
No, I put connections are great. Arya asks to be stage manager so they can be around each other more, and eventually Needles fits enough for him to say yes. Caleb is in the shower, and Hannah comes in to grab something when Ashley suddenly comes home and starts asking if her phone's in the bathroom, prompting her to come in, which Hannah then jumps into the shower with Caleb and covers his mouth so he won't say anything. Ashley comes in and grabs the phone and leaves. And they both kind of look at each other, and Caleb turns around, and Hannah sneaks a peek at Caleb's ass and smiles, and Caleb asks if she also wants to share a towel. Emily and Spencer hang as Emily gets a call from Paige. And Spencer's like, what's going on with that one? And Emily's like, we're okay now. And Spencer's like, what do you mean you're okay now? She tried to drown you. And Emily's like, don't worry, it's all right. And she's like, well, what about like you and Toby? How's that going? Like, and Spencer's like, well, I need to go back by and drop off a French book. And Emily's like, can I actually bring it to him? Like, I want to talk to him. And Spencer's like, sure, I don't see why not. Spencer then sees Jenna and Ian talking and agrees with Emily that they're like, I had no idea that they know each other. Ian then hands Jenna a bag and walks away.
Dun, dun, dun.
Mm-hmm. Fitz gathers everybody for the play. It's the first meeting of the play, we assume. Hannah looks out.
Not a rehearsal, or it's a meeting.
I wrote meeting all over these notes, so get ready for that. Completely
There's
forgot.
no play practice. There's no rehearsal.
It's a meeting.
It's a meeting.
I haven't been in a play since the 7th grade, so it's really showing. All right. So Hannah looks out and sees Caleb and then looks back. Mona notices and asks, hey, Velma, like, are you ready to like jump Shaggy or something like that? Hannah then mentions the shower to her, and Mona asks, like, oh, did you actually lose your V card? And Hannah's like, no. Mona's like, that's a waste of water. And it's just like, so are you into him? Hannah's like, I'm not sure. And it's like, well, you better make up your mind, like, before, like, it pretty much just like before someone else, like, goes after him. Fitz tries to lead the crew and getting everybody organized, and Arya keeps trying to, like, cut in and be involved, which then he kind of eventually goes, like, why don't you just hand out papers? Mona tries to big time Arya, being like, hey, can you like go get me a latte? And Arya's like, no, you can go get one yourself. And then Ian randomly walks in and he's like, oh, sorry, I got lost. This isn't the Varsity Booster Club, and leaves. The friends then all take that as a cue to huddle closely together and whisper about how creepy he is. Arya tells Spencer she can't believe she kissed him. And Spencer's like, we all wanted to kiss him. And Hannah's like, hell no, I never did. Spencer's like, well, what do you mean? Like, don't you remember that, like, that party from a while ago? And Hannah's like, no, I didn't. Cute flashback.
Emily's like, yes, you did.
Yeah, exactly. And this tape will show.
Go.
Exactly. Allie hands out fake IDs to the friends, and it's like, hey, you can use all these to get into the frat party tonight.
What frat party IDs? I had this written down for later,
No.
but like I have.
No, it's perfect.
I've never been to a frat that ID'd.
No.
What age are they looking for?
Right, exactly. Honestly, they're just looking for an M on that. Or, yes. They're looking for an M on the license.
What's an M?
Male.
Oh.
Turn back around.
Well, you would think.
Yeah, no, but they're at, this one is actually ID. But I mean, like, in my experience of
They just cared if you were a guy.
Exactly. I only went with, like, it's like, oh, here's a friend who wants us to, like, come over and get in, which was very few. And even one time I went to the bathroom without them, and then I got quickly ushered out.
So weird.
It really is.
Frat parties were so weird.
But I mean, this one is garden people, I guess.
My favorite frat experience was one time I was going to a frat and we were going in and this guy was like saying that one of my friends wasn't cute enough, and I looked at him and was like, what, you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you think that?
Yeah.
And then he didn't let any of us in.
Later.
Everyone's like, you shouldn't have done that. And I was like, were you going to go in without her?
Right.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Good on ya.
I just get mouthy that's why, I mean, I'm mouthy to begin with, but when I drank, I was very mouthy.
Mm-hmm. They're like, fuck you.
It's an excuse.
Mm-hmm. That's what I admire about you.
That I bullied frat boys.
Yeah. It's strength right there.
Well, what are they going to do? What power do they have? I can get free alcohol anywhere. It was Isla Vista.
Not me getting, like, caught in the hallway going, sir, my friends, I trust, like, please don't hurt me, sir.
Well, it is a little scary when you're there and, you don't have the power of being a girl. Like, I knew I was always allowed there.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the only one that ever did it. I don't remember what frat it was either, else I'd out them.
It's good. Yeah.
It was the year 2013 at UC Santa Barbara at this one senior house.
And I'm sure the culture of the frat changes with
every class, literally.
With the tides.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they hand out fake IDs and they go in. The friends all then see Ian, and Hannah's like, oh, like, or no, they all say, isn't that Melissa's new boyfriend, Ian? And Hannah's like, oh, he's cute, and his friend's cute too. So, smoking gun.
Hannah was just horny this episode.
Both episodes. Hannah just is in general, and we'll talk about it later.
You go, girl.
Totally, I think it's a very good thing.
You get it.
Ian is talking to a girl and then walks upstairs with her, and she's kind of obviously tipsy. Allie says he's probably going to go hook up with her, and the friends all go like, no, I don't know, like trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Never give a frat boy the benefit of the doubt. If I could tell you one thing, if you are currently experiencing frat boys, never give them the benefit of the doubt.
We then cut back to the present. Emily says Spencer should have said something to Melissa that night. Fitz then cuts in by asking Hannah like a question about the play that he was asking to the group, because they're at the meeting. Spencer jumps in to discuss, and as they're discussing it, Arya then cuts in to add a comment and accidentally calls him Ezra, causing everyone to look around awkwardly, especially Ezra. Emily goes to see Toby as he's working on a motorcycle or something. He's got like the headlight.
He's working on his motorcycle. It's in front of him on the porch.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and they talk about it.
I thought he had like pieces in front of him.
Yeah. So it's on the ground, and then he's got pieces with him that he's fixing.
Toby asks why Spencer isn't there, and Emily's like, well, I wanted to bring this like to you. I practically snatched it from her. Toby mentions that Jenna confessed to him turning him in. Sorry. Turning in.
He turned in for the night.
I have a confession to make. I'm going to sleep.
Good night.
Emily then is like, hey, wow, that's great. Like, we should go out and celebrate. And Toby's like, well, what happened to Maya? And Emily's like, as friends. And Toby's like, oh, right, gay. Got it. Breakfast would be great. And Emily's like, see you tomorrow then.
Okay, my issue with Pretty Little Liars is
There's
so
no
far
verb
we have
times.
seen that multiple people have talked to Toby about seeing him in the morning, and no one has ever communicated a time.
Nope.
If you say, I'll see you tomorrow morning, I'm going to go, what time? Because I need to know as a non-morning person.
When I need to get there. Then everybody keeps missing him.
Yeah, you didn't miss Toby. You didn't show up on time. You didn't agree to a time. What morning? Was it today?
Exactly. And when she shows up later, it could have been like, well, like I'm having my morning over at Spencer's and then we'll go out to breakfast. Byron.
How much time do these people have in the morning?
Apparently a lot. Well, on a weekend, a morning is long.
I forgot that time works different.
Extend it out. Byron goes to see Mr. Fitz and take him out to a beer. And Byron's like, hey, your stories are real good. And it's really bold exposing yourself to your students like this, causing Fitz to freeze up. Caleb and Hannah hang at her house, but Hannah acts super awkward. Caleb tries to bring up the shower, and Hannah's walks away. Byron is out to beer with Fitz and asks if he's hiding out at the high school instead of pursuing his writing career. And he's like, hey, I know you might love your job, but like these kids will eventually move on. And I know like Arya is looking at colleges in LA. And mentions like, hey, you know, if you taught at a college level, you would have more time to write. Spencer and Toby meet. Spencer mentions the bag handoff to Jenna, and Spencer's like, hey, I have a great idea. You should steal her phone. Toby's like, no, hell no. Like, I don't want to piss her off. And Spencer's like, we have no idea what 214 means, and we need to find out. We need to find out more evidence before more evidence gets planted in your room. Real appeal to the emotions there.
I love it.
Emily arrives to pick up Toby, but just sees Jenna on the porch cleaning her flute. Jenna's like, hey, Toby's not here and is actually having breakfast with Spencer. Na.
How does it feel to be second?
Exactly. It sucks to be chosen second, doesn't it? And then plays Emily off with her flute. Goodbye, Emily.
Have you played flute, honey?
I have not.
Oh, I played flute. That was what I played in band.
See, we didn't have band at the school I transferred to or at Catholic school.
You paid but you had tax dollars. You had tax dollars.
But there was no band.
Okay, well.
And then also at Catholic school, we only played the recorder.
We did that in like fifth grade, and then fourth grade or fifth grade, and then you do instruments the next year. And the school had instruments you could rent if you didn't.
The next year, I was still in Catholic school. They did not have it.
I forgot that we don't believe in music.
Nope, we only went only Psalms. Toby hands Spencer the phone at her house, and Spencer's like, hey, Toby, why was Allie so sure it was you spying on us? And Toby's like, I've never spied on anyone, and Allie made that up. Toby then says that Allie thought she had something on him, which we obviously know is the Jenna thing.
His Jenna thing.
Oh, not the Jenna thing. Sorry. Apologies, everybody.
Don't confuse them.
Seriously. Spencer says Allie had something on all of us, and Toby's like, at least you don't live in a town where everyone believes you killed her. And Spencer's like,
which is like really prime foreshadowing.
Totally. Toby's like, you even thought so. And Spencer's like, I'm not proud of that. Toby says the Allie thing really doesn't make much sense, and Spencer grabs his hand.
And Brenton's heart grew 3 sizes in that moment.
It's like, oh, look, that's why I wrote it down.
L is for the way you look at Spoby.
Arya's taping down the carpet in the rehearsal room as Fitz walks in and addresses her icily. Arya apologizes for slipping up, and Fitz says, well, you know, people picked up on it. Arya's like, I'll be more careful next time. And hey, how was the beer with my dad? Fitz is like, well, he offered me a job at college and will allow me to do more writing. And Arya's like, oh, so you're just planning on like leaving here and leaving me? And he's like, well, it's not like you're going to be like around forever. And it's like, you're leaving too, aren't you? Mona then walks in and is like, hey, Arya, can you go get me some tea? And Arya's like, I'm not a gopher. Like, go get it yourself. And Mona's like, well, you sure bite like one. You know, if Mona wasn't like more like so selfish, like she really would have picked up on stuff between, I don't know if she did or didn't between Arya and Fitz, but it's really funny because she's just like around it so much in this.
She's just exceptionally self-centered.
It's fantastic. Spencer hands off the phone to Caleb, and he's like, "What is this from the year 2020?" Boy, Caleb, I have some bad news for you.
The cars still don't fly.
No, and you're not gonna have vaccines, and COVID is gonna be rampant. Caleb says it will take a while, and Spencer's like, "You have an hour." Caleb's like, why did you do this? This is fucked up, stealing a blind girl's phone. And Hannah's like, just do your job. Reminded me of like a spy movie. It's just like, should we really be doing this? It's like, agent, you're trained for one thing.
And you don't ask.
Call me sir. Fitz addresses the crew. The
class?
No, the theater people, the drama students. I don't know, I lost it.
The kids in the play?
Kids in the play. And says, hey, we're gonna do a run through on Saturday. Mona's like, well, I wasn't invited to that, like I'm actually busy. And Fitz is like, wait, you're supposed to be on there, didn't you get it? And it's like, no, I didn't get anything. And he's like, oh, well, Arya will fix it from now on. Just throw her under the bus, why don't you? Arya gets mad, of course.
Yeah, because even if he was just your teacher, that was fucked up.
Totally. And dismisses the entire crew.
Because
Arya,
she's the only teacher in the room.
Yes, she's like, everybody take 5, and everybody's like, yes, ma'am. she has more leadership.
It's
Arya,
small. We have a thing. Like, if you are like under 5'3", you decide that you are either gonna be loud or assertive in some way. Because if not, people aren't gonna listen to you.
good for her.
Mm-hmm.
And Arya's like, are you still mad like about the other day? I apologize. And he's like, I'm just stupid for thinking this could work. And Arya's like, it's okay. Like, you can get another, like, I can back out of being the, like, stage manager. That's fine. But are you trying to replace me in other parts of your life? And then, like, they go back and forth. And Fitz eventually says,
in the
like,
school.
yes, in the classroom, very loud. Fitz then says, our futures might not even be tied together. And she's like, oh, okay. And he's like, in the future, you're only going to see me as your high school teacher when you go off to college. No. Hannah and Spencer argue about the play and their lines. Emily then walks over and sees Ian and asks, hey, maybe there isn't any accidents and maybe we just never questioned what happened at the party. She then has a flashback. Emily and Hannah are hanging out at the pool table as a frat guy stares down Emily, and Hannah's like, oh, you should go talk to him. And Emily's like, no, I don't know. The girl that went upstairs with Ian then falls down the stairs as everybody stares at her as she's like literally comatose on the ground. Ian watches from
Someone
upstairs.
did yell, nobody move her, which is smart because you don't want to move someone with the back injury.
And everybody's just like, oh shit. Ian watches creepily from upstairs. Back in the present, Spencer asks why Emily never mentioned Ian being at the top of the stairs, and Emily's like, I didn't remember it.
Well, also, like, why it wasn't important.
Right, exactly. Emily wonders if Ian pushed the girl. Caleb calls Hannah out of the play practice. Hey, I called it at the right time here. Caleb says he's like, he can't crack the phone. Like, I can't do it. Hannah's like, are you just gonna like give up like that? This is important. Caleb's like, why am I cracking Jenna's phone? And Hannah's like, how did you know it was hers? And he's like, because I'm not blind. He asks if Hannah will ever get over the other day, and she says, I don't know what you're talking about, and walks away. Fitz asks the room if people are born bad. And Mona says, I'm actually just having a hard time figuring out who's bad and who's just naughty. And to which Fitz responds, I think you know, Mona.
Which one is Mona? Who's bad and who's naughty?
Yeah, I think that's self-explanatory for Mona. Fitz asks Spencer. Oh, wait, sorry. Fitz asks Spencer the same question, and she's like, yes, people are just born evil. She has a flashback. The girl's being wheeled out on a stretcher, and the 4 friends are all huddling together. They're like, we can't leave without Allie. Where's Allie? And then Allie suddenly arrives, and she's like, hey, what just happened? And they tell her, and Allie then makes a joke and is like, don't drink and dive. And they're like, what are we going to do? And Allie's like, just hold on a minute. Walks over to a cop and asks them for a ride home. And the cop obliges. They're all freaked out about doing this. And she's just like, oh, but they won't there's like no way that we would think we're involved because we're doing something so obvious.
The bolder the move, the less suspicious.
Thank you. And then as they get in the cop car to leave, Ian stares them all down from the porch. In the present, Mona's like, I can't like really get into my character because my character's too selfish and like I just can't play that. Arya's like, And she's like, I don't really know if she's like bad per se. Aria's like, well, it's only bad like if you're only thinking of yourself and like acting for yourself. And Fitz calls off the practice and is like, hey, all right, we'll just meet another day. This is fine. Spencer is then packing up and opens up a chest in the room and sees a trophy with Ian's name on it that has a stain on the base. It's a golf trophy. She calls all the friends over to look at it. Spencer asks, hey, Emily, where did you get this? And Emily's like, I've never seen this before. Aria asks, like, why would Ian hide it there? And Spencer's like, well, like, it's like just like the play, you know, like it's just like obvious, like it's gonna store it in the most obvious place so you won't suspect. And Aria's like, well, the character you're comparing this to is an 8-year-old. Emily's like, we need to bring this to the police now, and Spencer agrees. We then cut to the police wrapping the trophy up in plastic for evidence. As the friends all leave the station, Spencer says she doesn't want to go home, and Emily invites her over to stay there. Hannah's like, maybe we should all stay there, and Emily kind of agrees. Emily's like, it's really surreal to actually have the weapon. And Spencer's like, yes, it does, because it feels like Allie can rest in peace now. Hannah then has a realization, is like, I can't stay over, actually. I gotta like protect Caleb, like being in the basement there. Aria's like, your mom still doesn't know? And she's like, no, I've been able to tell her. Aria then asks if they can make a stop on the ride home. And Spencer's like, hey, Emily, we need to call Toby. And Emily's like, I think you should be the one that tells him. Aria walks into Fitz's apartment. Aria's like, okay, like I signed up for the play for the wrong reasons, but you're wrong about our future and nobody knows what will happen. Like you could just like wind up dead and we don't know where we're going to end up, but we're both here now. So can't we just be happy? Can we just have this now? Like us being happy? Fitz then kisses her and Aria says, good answer. Hannah arrives home to a trash bag on the kitchen table. Caleb then walks in with his backpack around his shoulders, and Hannah asks if he's leaving. Caleb's like, I'm leaving because you're treating me super weird ever since the shower. And Hannah's like, I just wasn't ready for like that. And like to like, you know, to really like to see you that way and things. And Caleb's like, well, like, would you want to maybe in the future? And Hannah's like, yes, I would. Caleb's like, okay, like that's good. I like that answer. And then Hannah walks over and kisses him, and we get the camera spinning around their heads moment.
Well, it was also more of like she's like, well, like he's like, you don't, you know, like just because you saw me naked doesn't mean I have to see you naked. And she's like, what if I don't want to do that? And he's like, that's fine. She's like, what if I do? And he's like, that's fine too. So it's also about like her agency in it.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a very good note. Thank you.
I've watched that scene a lot because it's all over the internet.
I understand. The friends then all gather at school. Hannah mentions how she can't wait for Ian to get picked up and carted out of school. The police then arrive and it's walk over to their table. The officer asks who found the trophy. Spencer raises her hand. Officer asks if they were all in on it and mentions there was no golf tournament on that trophy date in Hilton Head and that the blood on the base was from a rat. He then escorts them all outside to go to the precinct, and they all get a text from A that says, rat me out, rat in quotes, your blood's next. Aria remembers the party and asks where Allie was when the girl fell and thinks maybe Allie pushed the girl. Spencer mentions that the party couldn't have been random they were going there, like Ian was there. And that maybe Allie actually was stalking Ian. Aria says maybe Jenna like also wanted like Ian, and like maybe Allie like threw the firecracker in the garage knowing Jenna was in there. Well, not or stink bomb or whatever. Mm-hmm. Knowing Jenna was in there. And then Ian watches the girls from the school steps, like extremely close as they like carted off. We then cut to a gloved hand that drops food into a rat's cage. And then we see that the cage has Aria's name taped on it. Camera pans over to 3 more cages that have each of their names on it, but Spencer's is empty.
Meaning the rat's dead.
Yeah.
Probably.
The end.
The end.
The end.
I'm just reading in between the lines here.
What do you think happened to that rat?
Okay, so my first question's already answered. Is the bad seed a real play? Yes. The answer is yes. Why is Fitz directing the play?
Why is Fitz directing the play?
This school that has probably pretty good tax money. This was actually my argument, but now that I found out you didn't have band, I'm just really thrown off. Because I'm like, wouldn't they have had a drama teacher?
I would think so. We did at my school. We didn't have band, but we had a drama teacher.
What play were you in?
The Music Man.
Were you the Music Man?
No, I was Swiss Army knife. It's like we could put you in this scene, and we could put you in this scene, and we could put you in this scene, and you'll have one line here, and you'll have one line here, and you have a costume that's pretty much the same throughout the entire time.
Beautiful. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That was your first and only play? Last play?
Last play. I was also in, at my Catholic school, Your Good Man, Charlie Brown. And I was one of 4 Charlie Browns. I think I was Charlie Brown 3 or something.
Well, just like Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. I was the Andrew Garfield then.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I too ad-libbed. I love you guys. And it's like, you're not supposed to be on stage at the same time.
My character could be bisexual. It's fine.
My Charlie Brown could be into your Charlie Brown.
I love it. Okay. Why does Ashley hate Caleb so much?
I don't understand this at all.
It doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's not Ashley's character. Ashley's character is literally inconsistent.
Well, yeah, okay, so because I had gotten some weird reading in the next one where I misunderstood at first that it was like, oh, maybe Hannah is alluding to something that she's like been around these type of guys in the past or something, but I was like, no, that's not really it. I think she was more referring to like the Mrs. Potter situation.
Yeah, the fact that we didn't have money.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't get it either because she doesn't even know that.
No.
She's just like, I don't like this guy. And a lot of people seem that way. I don't understand why people, well,
he wears leather bracelets.
Well, like I've said, in the past one, I was kind of joking, but it could just be like, ooh, he's poor.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like all like, oh, he's so edgy and stuff. And it's like, well, maybe this is all just a cover for like some preconceptions you all have.
Yeah.
Which that's my best guess. I don't know if you have any other thoughts or insights on what would possibly drive that. But nope. I mean, he's just kind of like,
she doesn't like men, I guess. But Sean was fine.
Well, yeah, because he called her Hannah Banana. Because he's the biggest goober on earth.
Let's talk about the shower scene.
Oh yeah,
the internet loves the shower scene.
I can imagine.
It's quite well known.
Mm-hmm.
I've been waiting for it for you because I was intrigued to see how you felt about Haleb and how you felt about the shower scene.
Mm-hmm. It's goofy fun.
It's goofy fun.
It's a good time. It's like, oh no, and it's like a good way to like jumpstart that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny. It's a good
cute.
time. And the good touch on it is that Caleb turns around and Hannah stares at his butt and smiles.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the best thing to come out of that scene.
It's
like you said, like you mentioned with the scene at the end where I didn't write down of like Hannah expressing her agency there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is really important with everything with Hannah as being the horny character on this show, that she is expressing her agency that it is interested in this. She's the same thing with Sean, where it's just like, I want to have sex. And he's like, well, I don't, God. And in this, where Caleb turns around and she's like, man butt, I'm into that.
Man butt. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what my brain does too. It goes man butt. Mm-hmm. That's what I do when you turn around.
Boy butt. I mean, since it's high schoolers, and it's a decent way of like, says I know the show
doing
is pretty chaste.
Yeah, doing that while still being able to put on ABC Family.
Exactly. I know we keep things mostly PG on the show.
What about the kiss? The Haleb kiss.
Oh, yeah. It's very cathartic. That's why I wrote down that the camera spinning around moment, because even the show knows this is like the big crescendo. Like, oh my God, these like destined people are together. And I think it's good.
It's cute.
Exactly. And like you said, in that same thing, she gets to express that she's like, maybe
I do want to do this.
Yeah.
What if I don't? But also, what if I do?
Mm-hmm. And she's getting out of her own, she's processed and getting out of her own way of thinking like what everybody else seems to tell her about Caleb, which is good. Mm-hmm. It's just like, nah, I'm gonna do what I want.
On to our next couple. Let's talk about.
I mean, she already kind of does that anyway, but like, this is like that next step because like she was really reticent about it. Yes,
that's fair. That's fair. Arya and Ezra.
God, this is why I think we would do really good at putting on a play, but maybe like if you're not in like that solid foundation yet in your relationship, you maybe shouldn't run a production together.
Well, but they're also trying not to look close, so it's like this weird.
And then but he's like way more awkward about it. So like
it's obvious.
It makes it compounds it on himself because he's putting pressure on himself to not let it know, so that it makes it worse, and then he acts worse to her, and then I continue to go like, really, this guy. And it's like, what are he's not really like helping the play come together, and everybody's just like, we keep taking breaks because of this awkward energy between the stage manager, and it's like, oh man. But I mean, I don't think anybody, like I said, I don't think anybody picks up on it because Mona is always the one that's like around when it happens, and she's just like, ooh, I'm gonna try and big time Arya now that I have the chance, and Arya just shuts her down. But I mean, it's a bad situation between them in this episode.
Yes.
And then also,
so do you think the slip up was a big deal?
No.
Okay, you don't think it's gonna come back?
I mean, it could, but like,
you think only her friends noticed?
Yeah, I think so.
It's really the only people they showed who noticed.
Yeah. But everybody else, it got awkward, but like, and I mean, it could, because he has a really bad poker face about it. So it could end up coming back around.
Well, I mean, who among us hasn't accidentally called their teacher by their first name?
Exactly. Oh, and then yeah, and then also the really bad communication that he always shows about like feeling self-conscious about this stuff. It's like, oh, you're gonna go off to college because your father said that you're looking at colleges in LA. Maybe you didn't tell me about moving to LA.
In California. Was it an LA college?
I thought he said LA. It could just be California.
It was California, and then it was like it was in your favorite city.
Right.
But I don't remember
if they specifically
city
called it
that
out.
Was if they said.
But he's jumping to conclusions. So then it's just like, oh, I'm going to go like do that thing. But like getting a job at the college would satisfy his plan to begin with of getting a job elsewhere. And if you could communicate that to Arya, then it's like, well, now our relationship could be on the up and up because I'm somewhere else. But he can't do that.
Well, and it's only one class right now. So it's just more work for him without that promise of getting him fully out. Does that make sense?
Oh, I guess so. But like it's phrased that like Arya is then like, oh, you're just gonna leave? Like what? But he can't like be like, well, hey, now I'm at college, now we can date like legally. I'm
still not certain on that.
Oh no.
I just mean, like the way that's written in the law and how it works. And
no, it's not good.
It's not. I can't be certain.
And it's really funny, like with the ID. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. I don't like that it got that, but internal logic is just like, well, that would satisfy all your requirements, wouldn't it? But yeah, it's still bad. Still don't like it.
Why would he go to drinks with her dad? Why would he not just be like, thanks, Byron, I appreciate you reaching out?
Well, she encourages him to.
True.
And he's like, sure, why not? Do teachers usually go out to beers with their students' parents? I guess they go out to dinner sometimes, but that's usually with the family.
Okay, I was raised by a teacher, I
never happens.
I never went to dinner with any of my teachers.
Right, but I mean, like the thing that would make the most sense is if they did get invited out to dinner with the family. I don't think like teachers are going out to beer with their students' fathers.
No, but I also don't think that there, there's a boundary there.
Yeah. Just a weird one. It's like, well, I don't go out to drink with my students' parents.
Unfortunately, I like to party too hard for you, Byron.
Right. And it's also not phrased as like a job opportunity before then, because then that would maybe make more sense. Like, hey, I've got a job opportunity.
Yeah, like,
would you like to discuss this?
I work in this field.
It's like, nope, let's grab a beer.
You already addressed this next. I was going to ask you to talk about Mona's treatment of Arya, but you already did that.
It's bad, or it's fun, but it's mean.
Okay, so let's talk about the frat party.
Okay.
We already talked about the ID. I was very impressed. The girls on the stairs, do you think Allison had anything to do with that? Or do you think she just wasn't there? Where was Allie?
I don't think she had anything to Did I think she snuck off to go find Ian? Yes.
But we watched Ian take a girl upstairs, so is it even really sneaking, or do you think she's...
Allison.
Yeah, okay, I got it. She went to go find him and be like, what are you doing?
Exactly, yeah. But I don't know if she had anything to do with pushing her down the stairs. That might be a leap in logic from the friends of like piecing stuff together, but she could have.
What do you think Allie was doing when the girl went down the stairs then? She wasn't with Ian.
Sneaking back out to like go back downstairs to find the friends.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Do you think this really is like a whole thing where it's all about Ian and everyone just wanted to date Ian?
Between Jenna and everything too? I don't think so. I think this Jenna Ian connection is a later connection, that it was not in the past, that this is somehow a later connection now.
Got it.
Which, yeah, then I'm also, and I like don't quite have all those pieces there, but like it's like somehow I feel like this is a Jenna initiated thing. That Jenna,
do you think Jenna's going for all the teachers?
No, not going for teachers.
Okay.
I think Jenna is just trying to rattle people and trying to rattle the friends, and so is going after Ian. That's what I think it is.
And then so, the same thing with Mr. Fitz.
And so Ian, exactly, yes. I think that is totally like...
Because she walked in on Fitz and Arya talking.
Yes. And it's like, ooh, okay. And to make the story like about her and about the accident and stuff. But I'll get to that later.
Next episode.
But I think this Ian thing she initiated, and then Ian is kind of like, oh, okay, like... You can play that game, and we have some like secret handoff thing going on in the background.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my conspiracy.
Spoby and the phone theft.
Spencer really. I guess this is what happens when you get in a relationship with Spencer. She's like, I have a great idea. We're gonna do something that could put you in danger. How does that sound?
No, I'm not asking. I'm telling.
Exactly. Yep.
I love her.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Why did Allie hate Toby so much? Or do you think she just used him?
I think she used him.
He was just available.
Yeah, like Toby says. I think that was pretty accurate there. Of like she thought she had something over on me, and maybe hated Jenna for like some other reason. I don't think it's an Ian thing. But so then it was like, oh, I have something like on this, so I can use you. And yeah, I don't think she wanted to set the garage on fire. Okay. But it was intentional of like, fuck Jenna, I'm going to go throw this thing in there. I don't think she was trying to explode the entire garage as per happened. But I do think she was intentionally targeting Jenna meanly by like, I'm going to throw a stink bomb. But yeah, I don't, Toby sticking his neck out there.
Why can't Caleb crack Jenna's phone?
I don't know. I couldn't figure that out either.
It seems like he should be able to do it, right?
Totally, yeah. It looked like she just had like accommodations for the phone. Like voice but it didn't text. Seem like exactly, yeah, whatever the big brick extra thing on it was.
Could have even been Braille to type. I don't really know. I don't know what that was.
Because she's been seen typing with that before. So like I just assumed that was just an accommodation on the phone to like help her text and stuff. But yeah, it didn't seem like it was like fancy. But then like Caleb's like, maybe just Caleb's bluffing. Maybe he's not the tech whiz that he thinks everybody thinks he is.
But he got Emily to Maya.
Oh, that's true. Or maybe he just already knows about that. Maybe he has a limited tech library of knowledge, and then just couldn't crack Jenna's phone. He can't open phones. But I mean, that's my best guess. I don't know. It's like, but does like Jenna have like extra security? I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. It's suspicious.
It is
suspicious. I don't know. Okay, and then last but not least, let's do like a real quick A/murderer check-in, and then we'll go into the next episode.
Yeah, more and more is that Ian is the murderer. More and more solid in my convictions on this.
I think A thinks Ian's a murderer too, since
yes.
we assume A planted that because the rats.
But then A is also collecting well, okay, get that next time. But yeah, I don't know why A would then want to like fuck over the friends. I guess is just trying to lead them on the path to go after him, but then also be like, don't rat me out. But A, it's tough. It's tough. I don't know if I have any new theories after this episode. Because I still because even after next episode, it's like trying to point you in the direction of Jenna, but I don't think it is. I think Jenna is playing a dangerous game where Jenna's caught up in something. Someone else is pulling her in, but I don't think it's Jenna. So I think Jenna's connected to A somehow, but doesn't know. I think we mentioned it last time. It's like doesn't know who the hell A is. Yeah. It's like, this is just a person. But you know, if they like got to somewhere to try and unmask Jenna, and it's just like, it wasn't actually me. Someone else was like feeding me this crap, and I just wanted to get back at you, you assholes.
Fair enough.
That's what I think is. So the new wrinkle, I guess, to the theory is that Jenna is connected to A, but in a way that Jenna doesn't fully understand.
So you're saying Jenna's naughty, but A is bad.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if A is bad.
Okay, tell me more.
It's along those lines of like, I'm getting vengeance for Allie, and so is maybe I'm gonna do bad things and maybe like mess with people, but to like get the truth out about Allie's murder.
So then is that naughty and not bad?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mona. All right, should we go into episode 19?
Oh yeah. Episode 19. A person. Sorry.
A person?
One more time. Sorry, I get really nervous in these auditions. A person of interest. No, a person of interest. The friends talk about the video with Ian on it and talk about the Hilton Head theory to the police as we rotate through each of the friends, each saying a different piece. We then see when it gets to Spencer's turn on being interrogated that it zooms out and Mrs. Hastings in there with her at the interrogation. The cop wonders why Ian would want to kill Allie and why would he do that. Spencer posits that maybe he was why would he throw that all the way for Allie, a younger girl? Spencer posits that maybe he was into younger girls. The police then ask, did he have like any other like trysts with younger girls that you know about? And they all lie and says there are no one. And Spencer particularly says no one but Allison. The girl's parents all talk with Mrs. Hastings afterwards and are like, we're so confused about what's going on. And Mrs. Hastings says it seems like all of our daughters were the victim of a cruel joke. All the girls are huddled together discussing afterwards, saying that Arya says, whoever said the truth will set you free didn't meet A. Emily then quietly says, Jesus. They all look at her and she's like, Jesus is the one that said that.
It's in the Bible.
It's a great joke. The friends all come clean on lying about Ian and Spencer. A cop then walks over and says hi to Emily. And Emily's like, oh, Garrett, how's it going? And Garrett says, hey, sorry about this. Like, you know, sorry about you getting dragged through this. And the sergeant that was interrogating them calls him over. The sergeant then asks how he knows them. And Garrett says, I live down the street from the Fieldses, Emily. And the sergeant then asks, hey, do you think they're telling the truth? And Garrett says, I don't know why they'd lie. And the sergeant says, I don't know either, but that's why you're going to help me find out, or you're going to be doing parking tickets. Spencer. Oh, let me open. Should I open the door for him?
Sure.
Spencer then walks, back home. Spencer walks downstairs to her mom and dad. Spencer asks if they talked to Melissa and Ian, and Spencer asks if they talked to Melissa and Ian. Mrs. Hastings says, they weren't surprised. We did talk to them, and they weren't surprised by like what you said, and that we should have sent you to go see a therapist since Allison died. Spencer says, like, I'm actually just freaked out and scared by Ian being in the house. There's nothing wrong with me. Melissa and Ian then walk in, and Melissa says she hopes she gets the help she needs. And Ian's like, I'm not mad, Spencer, about like you doing this. Like, I'm just hurt. Spencer's like, why the hell did you even come back to Rosewood? You would have gotten away with it. The family is then like, how dare you? And they don't believe Spencer. Melissa asks, why can't you let me be happy? Spencer's like, this isn't about you. And Melissa says, no, it's about you, and leaves. And Spencer turns to her parents. It's like, this isn't what it like looks like. And her mom says, no, you don't know what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Rude. Come on. Paige sees Emily in the locker room, and Emily's like, hey, have you been avoiding me? And Paige is like, no, I've just been visiting my aunt at her house. She's old. Emily asks if they can talk about what happened, and Paige says, we should just drop it. And Emily's like, you want me to pretend like it didn't happen? And Paige says, yes, please. And Emily's like, consider it forgotten. Toby and Spencer arrive at the motel. Toby's like, hey, I just want to avoid the house with my parents not being home, and I want to avoid the wrath of Jenna. Like, and Spencer's like, well, does she know about you taking the phone? He's like, no, but a suspicion is good enough for her. And says that, hey, Spencer, if Jenna has anything to do, excuse me, has anything to do with you being framed, I'll do whatever I can to help you. Toby then leaves, and Spencer hears a flute coming from a room. Spencer walks up to the room where it's coming from and knocks on the door. And then looks in the window to see the bag that Ian handed off to Jenna. And then she looks at the room number. It's 214. Hannah sneaks Caleb upstairs while Ashley's in the shower. Caleb kisses her, but they're then interrupted by Ashley coming downstairs, and he runs out. And Ashley's like, hey, why the hell was the toilet seat up again? And Hannah's like, oh, just cleaning. Ashley's like, was Caleb here again last night? And Hannah's, well, I've had him like over like multiple times. And she's like, I know these tough guys. Like you should avoid him. And Hannah's like, you actually don't know him. Ashley walks away angrily, and Caleb comes back inside and grabs breakfast. He goes to leave the house, but comes back and kisses Hannah.
No.
Arya walks in to see Fitz, but sees that he's in his classroom actually talking to Jenna. Arya's phone goes off with a text from A, which grabs both of their attentions. And the text says, the lover and the scorned are now BFFs. Scared yet? You will be. Arya apologizes to the two of them for interrupting, and Jenna's like, oh, I was just leaving. And then makes a pointed remark as she leaves, saying, he's all yours now. Yeah. Fitz mentions, hey, Jenna's submitting this short story for a competition. I think she might actually have a chance at winning. The story is about a girl who uncovers people's secrets and is blind. Hey, and the story starts out with this like weird accident, and is like, hey, do you think Toby actually was the one that like blinded her? And Arya's like, yes, he did like accidentally like set the garage on fire. And Fitz is like, well, your story suggests it might not have been an accident. Isn't that strange? Emily opens her locker to a note from Paige that says, meet me at 202 Westchester Pike, 7 p.m. She stuffs the note in her pocket as Spencer walks up with Hannah. Spencer mentions to Hannah and Emily about her parents not believing her and the room at the motel. Hannah says, hey, maybe we should slow down on investigating. Why the sudden cold feet, Hannah? And maybe we should just like take our time with this stuff. But then Spencer sees Garrett and runs over to go talk to him. Spencer's like, hey, I know our evidence is weak, but you really need to follow up on Ian. Garrett says, I'm waiting back from a Hilton head manager to call me back, and he'll confirm if he was staying there. And then he asks Spencer why Ian would want Allie dead. And Spencer's like, she was probably going to tell Melissa. Cool. Arya, washes her hands in the bathroom and sneaks up on her and is like, I see why you like Mr. Fitz. He's a nice teacher and man, isn't he? And then leaves and freaks out.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer gives Toby...
You know him best.
Yes, thank you. Spencer then gives Toby a big bag of things to do at the motel. It's like, here's a board game, and here's some other things. And hey, guess what? We could also do spy shit. My phone has an app on it that enables it as a listening device. Isn't that funny? They then run out when they hear a cleaning lady going down the hall and bribe her to get into the end of room 214. Toby finds Jenna's glasses on the floor, and they start tearing apart the hotel room. Spencer then finds the bag in the closet, but they open it up and it's empty. Hannah and Caleb arrive home and kiss, and as they're kissing down the hallway, they then see that Ashley is there looking sternly and saying, it's time for Caleb to leave, and I found your bag. Caleb's like, hey, this isn't Hannah's fault, and Ashley's like, just go and don't come back. Fucked up. Caleb leaves, and Hannah says he has nowhere to go, like, what the hell? And Ashley's like, we don't lie to each other, Hannah, and Hannah leaves to go after Caleb. Emily arrives at the address and finds that it's like a rustic bar. Paige is waiting inside a booth and is like, hey, I hope you like this. I found it online. Paige is like, you were right, Emily. I was avoiding you. And, like, actually, when I saw you and, like, Maya together, it clicked that, like, I was also gay. And, hey, Emily.
Representation matters.
Apparently, yeah, it totally does. And then tells Emily that, like, that when I kissed her, when I kissed you, that was my first kiss. And Emily's tells like her history about it. And it's like, oh, Maya wasn't the first one. I was actually in love with Allison. And Paige is like, I didn't know her well, but she seemed like she was a dynamic person. And Maya was kind of like that too, wasn't she? And it's like, you might be into like badass women. Fitz arrives home to Arya setting up his apartment for dinner and dressed all nice. Fitz is wondering what the occasion is. And Arya's like, oh, it's nothing. He apologizes for being late. He was working with Jenna. He's like, her story is really raw. And I wonder, like, I was surprised that it's coming from someone who's so guarded. Has she always been this way? He wonders, like, I don't understand how a family could ever get over something like that. And Arya cuts him off severely and says, they don't. Hannah hangs with Caleb at a little campsite that they've set up. She wanted to keep him away from sleeping at a bus station, so this is the alternative. And Caleb is like, you were like definitely not the camping type. Is there like any other personalities I don't know about? And Hannah's like, well, I went to fat camp for 5 years in a row, and I had this like horrible nickname, Hefty Hannah, in the past. Caleb's like, well, you didn't need to like tell me that. And she's like, I want you to know who I am. Very sweet. Caleb's like, well, I never knew my father, and my mom dropped me off at my aunt's and just left. I only got one card from her on my 10th birthday that was addressed from Arizona, so that's the last place I know that she was. Paige is singing karaoke at the bar and gets the crowd to join her in like getting Emily to get up on stage and sing, and eventually she does, and they both sing together. Spencer and Toby play Scrabble with rules that I don't understand because they're spelling like 12-letter words, like just in a row. And then Toby is just like, she gives like some big word that's like only worth like 96 points, and then Toby spells out goofball. It gets more points than her, which like Spencer gets visibly mad about. Hilarious.
Well, if you have 7 letters at a time, and she put the G down, you could do goofball.
Her letter was like, her word was 12 letters. I was like, Jesus Christ.
I'm assuming she's playing off a different word.
I guess. Yeah. It just looked, it was hard for me to parse. Mm-hmm. And then
I did try to figure this out.
G-O-O-F.
Yeah, I'm literally G-O-O-F.
Goofball. Toby asks Spencer, he's like, hey, you like can't be comfortable wearing those like formal clothes just like hanging out here. Why don't you wear one of the pajamas? Do you want the top or the bottom? And Spencer like looks at him all weird and he's like, I'm joking. Like you can have the shirt, and like tosses it to her. And he goes like back in the bathroom, which is like behind a little screen, but it doesn't close all the way, so you can see a little bit as he puts on his pajamas, and she gets distracted watching him and seeing his abs as he just puts on his bottoms.
I mean, were you not distracted by his abs?
Very much so. To the point as in a later scene that I'll mention it when he's sleeping on top of the bed. It's just like, oh, we need to show Toby's abs. Everybody's wondering.
So going forward, count the number of scenes you see Toby in a shirt. It'll be shorter than counting the ones without.
I was gonna say this is an Archie situation.
No, Toby flexed, so Archie can pull off.
We then cut to Paige and Emily kissing outside the bar. And then we cut back to Spencer wearing Toby's shirt to bed and sees him sleeping on top of the sheets with his abs. And then with his abs, yeah.
Do you sleep with your abs? I sleep with my abs.
That's only when I sleep on top of the sheets when my abs are showing. And then Spencer crawls in next to him. Hannah and Caleb kiss each other in the tent in the woods. Caleb asks if Hannah's sure, and she says yes. The next day, Arya and Emily hang out. Emily gets a text from Paige to go on a picnic. Arya gets a text from Fitz, and Emily's like, hey, why are you avoiding Fitz? And she's like, no reason. It's like, you've been ignoring his calls all day. Usually you hang out with him on Saturdays. Arya's like, okay, he's been helping Jenna, and like he keeps asking questions about like the accident because it's like in her story. And I don't know, like I made a promise to you guys not to say anything about it. And Emily's like, you know what? You can tell him. If you trust him about this, like I trust him too. So like go ahead. Like you tell him. Spencer wakes up as the big spoon to Toby's little spoon. She gets up awkwardly, gets up on the bed as
Do
he
you
wakes
like
up.
being big spoon or little spoon?
I like being, it depends on the night. Sometimes a big spoon, sometimes a little spoon.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Just curious.
I guess for the most part, big spoon, but
If you were cuddling with Toby, would it be different?
exactly. Well, then I'm big spoon as well. Toby's like his little spoon. Okay, so she gets up awkwardly as he wakes up. They suddenly hear the flute coming from next door and jump to investigate. They see the doors open and then go in, and they see that there's a little boombox set up playing the flute. The bag is on the bed, and Toby sees that the bag is filled with ice, and inside is a note from A that says, "You're getting colder." He asks Spencer who A is, and Spencer's like, I have no idea.
Which is true. She has no idea.
That is fair. Emily and Paige are on a picnic. Emily's like, hey, they're listening to a band. I can't remember what. Emily's like, I love this band. They're going to be in the city next weekend. We should go. And Paige's like, well, we can't go because like people would like might see us. People might know us. Like we can't do that. And Emily's like, what do you mean? And it's just like, well, like I thought like you would understand that like this is only in private. And Emily's like, I'm not going to do that. Like I like used to like feel really ashamed about myself. And I like go back into pretending like and hiding this again, like that like might bring those feelings back on. Like I can't keep doing this way. Paige is like, I thought you understood that this is how it has to be. And Emily says, well, sorry, I can't. So maybe we should just be friends. Arya arrives at Fitz's. Arya says like, hey, I've been avoiding you because I have something to tell you. And if I tell you, you might like see me different. And he invites her in. Hannah arrives home and Ashley is as Ashley's on hanging up the phone about like trying to find out where she went. Ashley's like, never do that again. I was worried sick. And Hannah's like, how dare you do that? And like Caleb's in a bad situation. Like you can't like treat him this way. You were lucky to get out of yours. Hannah walks upstairs. Ashley hears her cell phone ring, walks downstairs and picks up the phone call from Caleb. Spencer is leaving the motel and says, sorry, the investigation was a bust. And Toby's like, it wasn't all a bust. And then walks up and kisses her. And they exchange like these cute little looks. Like Spencer's like, wow, that was unexpected. And then walks away and they're all smiling. Caleb.
Who else was all smiley in that scene?
Yours truly. Caleb walks in and thanks Ashley for inviting him to dinner. Ashley's like, oh, I did it for Hannah, not for you. So remember that.
What a bitch.
Absolutely. Like this kid's like 16, doesn't have a home. Ashley then says to Caleb, it's like, hey, you can actually stay on our guest room. But if you hurt Hannah, I'll make you regret it. He's like, I believe you. Arya and Fitz cuddle, post her like telling the truth about like the Jenna thing. The actual Jenna thing. Arya's like, if there's one thing I could change in the past, it would be that night. And Fitz says like, hey, I still love you. Like, don't worry about it. And Arya thanks him. Hannah kisses Caleb goodnight and walks upstairs. Caleb then walks over and says goodnight to, he's like, goodnight, Mrs. Marin. She's like, you can call me Ashley. And they kind of both smile. Ashley walks up, go to bed. And Caleb walks outside the screen door real quick and makes a call. And says, hey, I'm out. I can't do this anymore. And hangs up the phone. Spencer arrives home to Melissa in the kitchen and asks why there's a police car in their driveway and if it's because he was at Hilton Head. Melissa's like, he was there, but he lied to protect me because I was pregnant that summer and we went there to get an abortion. Melissa's like, I lost the baby before I even went to the doctor. Her mom and dad then come in and say that Spencer has to be honest with them and the police know that she was seeing Ian. Emily gets a restricted call and then an SOS text from Spencer. She then finds as she like meets outside Spencer's like front gate with Arya and Hannah that they all got SOS text from her and they see the cops. They all wonder what's happening as they then get a text from A that says, breaking news, bitches. Spencer Hastings is now a person of interest in the death. A gloved hand then rewinds footage that we see is taken of the three of them from the scene we just watched, but from like close in the woods, like just over to like their right almost is what it looks. Yeah, that's like to the right of them. as the gloved hand rewinds it, and then eats popcorn out of a bowl in a rocking chair. The end.
Yes. First and foremost, let's talk about our new person, Garrett.
Garrett, yeah.
Garrett should be a conflict of interest and not allowed to work on this case.
No, but the police, that we know that this police department does not care.
Yeah, but
Mrs. Hastings should have said, well, Mrs. Hastings doesn't know. But I mean, no, absolutely not. Like,
who is Garrett? We know he was Emily's neighbor.
That's all we know.
Mm-hmm.
We know nothing else about Garrett.
That the girls know him.
Yeah, and that he has to investigate him.
He must be somewhere around the Melissa Ian and or older age if he's a cop.
Yeah, that would make sense.
21-ish.
Yeah.
Or maybe younger, actually. You know what I mean, though? Like, he's part of, because I separate everyone in this world into a group of high schoolers, like the girls' age.
Right, and then say postgrads.
Or postgrads, yeah. And then for some reason, I always want to put Jenna like a year older than them. I don't know if that's accurate, but like I just want Jenna to be older. I think Toby's older, so in my head, Jenna's older.
Right.
I don't know if that's true. Don't ask me why. I've always thought Jenna was older. For a long time, I thought Jenna was Melissa's age the first time I watched this show.
Oh, interesting.
And then I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
No, she was at least
at the high school.
Yeah, maybe she was older, like a year older, and then so got like not held back, but she had that like to pretty much like go and learn like.
Well, she's not in their classes, so I think she must be probably like because they're sophomores right now.
Right, but I was thinking because she goes away for a year.
Oh, I like to think that her and Toby are the same age, so maybe like they're seniors while the girls are sophomores, give or take.
Yeah, maybe.
Or juniors. I don't know how old Toby is. He's 17. He's 18.
Wait, but she's right. Yeah, I don't know.
Isn't it confusing?
And I don't want to look it up because then I'm going to find out something else.
No. It doesn't matter.
Just spoilers in general.
So we don't know who Garrett is, what Garrett knows, why Garrett's here.
Just don't like Garrett because he's investigating him.
Well, he's a cop.
Yeah. So we don't like Garrett.
We can't trust him.
No.
Why do Spencer's parents think she's a therapist if she's afraid of the man who, especially now that they know, at the end of the episode, it seemed like they were mad at her. And I'm like,
they are, yeah.
You wouldn't be mad at a child for lying because they had been, with someone who it was illegal for them to be with if they felt unsafe about the person. Because obviously she feels unsafe about him.
And then for them to know and then not have her back again in that moment when they know that Spencer was with Ian, like that should be a giant red flag. Yeah, the Hastings parents doing a real bad job, and it's not like she like, and especially like in hindsight, where they're like, yeah, we probably like should have like at least offered to like have you go see a counselor or something after your friend disappeared.
Yeah, like that makes sense.
Yeah, like that's horrible. Like, and then all your friends are gone. Like, so it's yeah, in hindsight, yes, you should have, but like right now to like not believe your daughter and be like, well, you just need therapy, like to get over feeling threatened by the guy that you saw that is now married to your sister. Yeah, it's a lot of blaming her. I don't like it.
Yeah, and
Mrs. Hastings, I thought better of you.
Because they're either sophomores or juniors in high school right now, which means all of that happened when they were like freshmen, if not younger.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Like, look out for your daughter, please. Mrs. Hastings. I don't expect anything of the dad. Like, the man's dead. But
be better, Hastings family.
I know, Mrs. Hastings. Like, man, after all that, she spoiled all that goodwill of standing up to Wilden.
Well, also, okay, so then let's think about Melissa.
Doesn't mean we don't want her like at the cop station, but
Melissa knows that Ian kissed Spencer.
Yeah.
And dated her, like saw her. Why would she not have told the police? Why is she protecting Ian?
Because she still thinks, I guess, that he's like some sort of good guy. But I don't know. Because she's like, I feel like we get this part of finding out about the abortion.
But that didn't happen.
Right. But
so there's going to be no medical records or backup for it. Isn't that convenient?
But that they were supposedly there together at Hilton Head. Yeah. Like, it seems like she feels that she owes him some sort of debt. But that is a very good point. There's no records of like them being there.
There's no records of her being there.
Uh-huh.
And there's no records of
Allison
her.
being there.
Well, there's no records of her having any sort of medical procedure if she, the way they wrote it in the show. Normally when people naturally miscarry, you may not go into the doctor. You feel like there's a lot more to it. But in the context of this show and how limited of scope of female reproductive rights we like to really talk about on television, or just reproduction in general, it's like, okay, well, she miscarried, so it's all over.
Right, exactly. It's just like it was just a bad afternoon. Yeah, as far as we know.
So that's special.
Yeah,
I mean,
so I've been more, of course, still more after this. It's just like, oh God, poor Melissa. What the hell are you like involved in?
And did she go into the doctor? Like, are we going to be able to find like medical records? Like, what's going to happen? I'm curious about that. I don't remember.
Right. Yeah, poor Melissa.
Okay, so then Melissa's a mess. The Hastings are a mess. Let's talk about something that makes our hearts feel good.
Okay.
Toby.
Oh yeah.
Tobias.
The most hilarious little overnight session.
Why is Jenna playing flute at a hotel? Sometimes.
Right. I think she did the one time I'm assuming to make the 214 is where she makes a drop off with the person that is A. So that's why A had the bag.
So then she got the bag from Ian.
Exactly.
So Ian connected to A?
Yes, but he doesn't know how. Like this is like 2 degrees of separation, right?
Okay.
So Jenna is coming to Ian for something.
Okay.
Ian is providing it to her.
Okay.
Jenna is then taking it back to A.
Got it.
Okay. So then that's A gets whatever they want. And then replaces that, so then plays the prank on whoever. So she was just like waiting at the hotel and is probably just like, well, I gotta sit here for a while, so I'm just gonna play my flute.
And then sometimes she just puts the CD on just to fuck with them? Or
no, that's A did that because we find the bag that has the A note in it. So I think that's what that is. That's my best theory there. But yeah, so I was very happy with the hilarious overnight stay between Spencer and Toby.
Yes.
The world's strangest couple.
I love them. I would ride for them. I would die for them. I would throw down for them. I would do whatever I need to do to keep those two little sweet baby angels safe together.
Because Toby will go along with Spencer's very aggressive plans. And Spencer's always just like diving headfirst. It's like, okay, I have a new theory, so this is what it is now, and we're going right in on it.
I love it.
I know, it's so good.
They make me so happy.
Me too.
I just love them.
Toby's sensitive nature is a good match for Spencer's aggressive pedal to the metal.
Was it worth the wait for Toby's love story?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was excited for this arc for you. I was very excited for you.
Good stuff.
Okay, so let's talk about we'll do Haleb and then Paige and Emily, and then we'll talk about Arya and Ezra and The Secret. So Haleb and Ashley and the whole camping thing.
Yes.
Hannah lost her virginity, we assume.
Yes.
In a tent.
Yeah, exactly. It seems very like messaged that way. I feel like across all of the relationships this episode, we get like little it's like that wish fulfillment aspect sort of thing of like, okay, we get to see them all like kind of hook up in different ways, or at least like start making moves toward each other. But like and even this is like a very chaste version of like that like nice idea of like the first time sort of thing. Because I mean, we know that's not how
that's not very common.
Exactly. Yeah. For just, sex in general, let alone first time. But like, we get it. But at least like I think the really good thing about it, I don't think everything has to be that like scene from 8th grade. But at least in this, it's we get at least Hannah's
like agency and like I think, and that's what makes it a good scene, because it's very much like, I want to do this thing and I'm ready to do this thing. Yes. And because she approaches it with that, then she gets to have an enjoyable time. Yeah, we get to. That's kind of how I interpret it.
And the show isn't, has never been, and continues to not be down on her for like wanting to do this. It's like, this is something she wants to do, and she's going to do it. And so we get the fulfillment of that, and her like, and then it's like, other than that scene, it's not brought up again in this episode. Like the rest of it is more like Caleb and Ashley having to work stuff out, and Ashley like being is learning to be at least a good parent, and being like, I don't co-sign what my daughter wants to do, but I'll at least like I can't change things, so I'll go along with it, do what she wants, like, and at least like support her in this way. And then of course we get the shoe drop of talking on the phone to someone,
saying he can't do it anymore.
He can't do it anymore.
What do you think? Who was he on the phone with, and what was it about?
Jenna getting close to Hannah.
Ooh, okay. Tell me more.
Yeah. So it has to be him. So we'll get to the other side of the phone call, but the person put him up to get close to the friends so they could find out more.
Okay.
To keep tabs on the people. So that's why he's saying, I can't do this anymore, because he has now fallen for Hannah. So that's like what this actually has to be, because he is pretty much like put up to it. It's like, okay, like, hey, if you can do this, like, I will pay you X amount to like be able to do it. And he was probably just like, sure, whatever. I don't care about these people.
Or like, okay, I'll get close to them because like they seem entertaining and like this seems like whatever.
Right, exactly. And it's just like, no thanks, until it's like, how much money? And so that's the reason. And then I think it's Jenna, because I think Jenna is really starting to work her master plan on these peoples.
I love this.
Just like keep tabs and like fuck with them.
Okay.
She's playing three-dimensional chess here.
And if not Jenna, who?
Yeah.
Do you have a second choice?
Ian.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. I hadn't thought about this before. So okay, so let's go with Ian real quick. That Ian is trying to keep tabs on the friends and things, right? And so like find a way into this group and like report back to me on like this kind of shit. So that's what Ian is doing, because he is a controlling person and is trying to protect himself. Yeah. And has other things that we don't know about. Or third, from way in the back, a man named Noel. Trying to keep an eye on this group. He's taken off the board somewhere, potentially suspended, but maybe Noel is like, since he got like fucked over, he needs insurances to try and get back at them. So he's like, okay, I need a man on the inside to keep tabs at the school, because I'm no longer there, whatever the hell happened to me. And like, I was set up, and I have a suspicion it was them, because I was connected to Arya, and Arya told me and probably got Fitz to then plant the evidence in my locker. So I think that's where that's a potential other theory that I didn't think about until this moment.
Okay, so if you had to rank your three options, which one's number one?
Man, I'm really working myself into a shoot that third option is number one. I would go Noel, Jenna, Ian.
Okay, Noel, Jenna, Ian. We'll check back in the future.
I know. Once that hit my brain,
I'm like, it's Ezra.
Exactly. Yeah. Once
Byron.
Keep an eye on my daughter.
Why would
Wrong one.
Oh God, it wasn't the blonde one.
Right, exactly. Stupid kids.
There were three brunettes and you went for the one.
Exactly. Can't trust these boys.
Okay. So Paige and Emily, a budding romance. What about Maya?
Yeah. So because of the mixed up episode count, Maya will come back next time.
You think next time? Yeah.
Yes.
I miscounted how many episodes were in this season. That was on me.
It's all good. But Maya, Maya will come back next time. I forgive you.
Thank you. But Jenna doesn't. A bitch never forgives and she never forgets.
Mine like an elephant there. But Maya will come back next time, right as Paige gets over her like being seen in public together. Yeah. I was just thinking of Lucille and Job, where it's just like, I'm not ashamed of you. I'm ashamed to be seen with you.
I love it.
But yeah, that's and it's gonna end bad for poor Maya.
I also like Paige is trying to be someone she's not potentially. Was that what it was with the karaoke thing?
Yes, that's 100% what that is.
And I was like, oh,
she's a lot.
She's a lot.
She tries really hard and is really like.
Or was that supposed to be cute?
I think she was trying to be someone else. But I mean, like, you can take that as...
But she could just be being more of herself. Maybe she finally feels comfortable being her.
That's true. Yeah.
I like how I brought up this point. Now I'm countering it.
Yeah. How dare you think this?
I plant the seed and then I attack.
This is what's wrong with men. But I think it is her trying to, with like when you were
be
younger.
Emily's type.
Exactly. And I don't think...
I listen to a lot of bad music for boys.
Right. Yes, and I acted a certain way, like in certain times, in certain situations with people of like, like I have to act like this to get a girl.
Or like I will show off this particular skill set I have, even though it's not really my favorite or the one I tend to highlight, because it's the one that will work in this conversation to get me the thing that I want, which is the person.
Exactly. And then it usually ends up like feeling weird as like a secondhand thing to watch, especially. And I think Paige
would now
too,
be the time to tell you that I've never seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. No, I'm kidding. When Brenton and I first met, we were in Vegas and I was holding my pillow, which had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pillowcase on it, and he looks at me and goes, "Is that your pillow?" And I was like, "Who else's would it be?" And then we fell in love. Mm-hmm. That's our love story.
Exactly.
But no, I can't identify them by color. I'm still really bad at that. I did watch it.
I don't know who Kurt Vonnegut is.
Honey, we've read the books together.
Oh goodness.
The cornerstones of our relationship crumble.
Exactly.
But you pretend to be like, or you show off the parts of you that you're like, this will impress them.
Totally. And I think like Paige is still working out like
who she is.
Exactly. So then it's just like, oh, she likes audacious women and I like this person, so I'm gonna try.
Well, and why not try on different personalities? I do it every day.
Totally. Yeah. It's just the later scene where she's just like, I thought you were okay with like us not being in public together.
We're just gonna be secret.
Right. And Emily being like, what? That's we didn't talk about this at all. And she's like, oh, I thought you'd understand. I don't like that. That like intense side that is just like where things are very like black and white. And so it's like that kind of stuff that's just like, oh, Paige and Emily.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then, should we tell Toby about A?
Yes.
We should, huh?
Toby's trustworthy.
I think
tell Tobes. You should always tell Tobes. I understand that you just fall in love with the guy. It's a long walk. I gotta tell you, but like you could trust Toby. Think about it some more, Spencer. Come back to him.
Mm-hmm. Will she even get to tell him? Why Spencer? Why is Spencer being framed? Is it because she knows too much? Is she the most
Here's
right?
my theory that I did. So you mentioned this last night, and I was just or like something similar to that of like why Spencer Cage? Why Spencer Cage empty?
Why they kill Spencer's rat?
Right. Why Spencer dead? But I was like, okay, so why target her? And it's like, oh, because she's the biggest goddamn mark in the world. Like, you give her a breadcrumb and she's just like that. So like, I feel like A is just like, oh yes, like we need to give like Spencer just enough information so Spencer jumps on something.
And motivation.
Totally. Where like even Arya and everybody else will kind of be like, I don't know. Hannah has like too good of intuition to be like, no, this is weird. But like Arya and Emily would both be like hesitant about something. Like, let's think this through. Spencer's like, nope, the facts are right here. I just saw it on the paper. We got to go.
The facts are the facts, and we're going.
Exactly. Not wondering like, where'd the paper come from? Who wrote the note?
I love
You're like, doesn't matter. Exactly. That's right. I love Spencer for that reason too. But I was like thinking of like, she really is the biggest mark out of all of them. So like, you can get a lot of mileage with being like, well, you funnel this to Spencer and she's going to jump on it.
And then should Arya have told Ezra about Jenna?
Yes, because of like where that was. Like if she did want to like obviously keep seeing what she does, like you kind of have to, because like otherwise you're just gonna keep like being weird. But is he trustworthy? Trustworthy in that sense?
He's a mandated reporter.
What did you think about that?
Again, he'd have to report himself. Like he's.
That's true.
And I don't know what the laws are in Pennsylvania. In California, he would be a mandated reporter. I don't know if it's different in other states.
Okay. I gotta separate myself out of this. Would I tell Fitz? No.
Would you date Fitz?
No.
What do you?
But like coming from Arya's perspective, yes, I understand. I think
having been really stupid at 16, like I'm like, yeah, I would have done that, and I would have told him.
Mm-hmm. But
I see all of that laying out right in front of me.
Yeah, but I don't know. Do I think when the chips are down and things start like cracking under Fitz, is he gonna like let loose a little truth there? Maybe.
Oh, do you think he'll tell Jenna?
No.
Do you think he'll tell? Who do you think he'll tell?
Unless he gets backed into a corner. See, that's what I'm saying. Someone like puts the screws to him.
Yeah, he is kind of weak. He freaked out with the whole Arya thing. You know?
If he can give that up to protect their relationship.
But that doesn't protect their relationship at all, unless he only puts it on Allie.
Well, I mean,
Allie
it would prevent people from knowing about their relationship.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
That's what I think would be the motivations for him saying something.
Okay, final questions. Are you ready? I only have a handful left.
Okay.
Which couples do you think, if any, are endgame?
Ezria, I have a really hard time not seeing that being endgame.
Okay.
Because of soap opera and the rich vein of drama that can be slowly drip fed out of a student-teacher relationship. And then Spencer and Toby. I mean, come on. Like, you got these two together, and there's also a lot of drama to be mined out of both their lives, like together and externally from each other. They both have so much going on. They have both superseded what is going on in Hannah's life, and that's a lot.
Yeah, Hannah looks boring now.
I know. What is it? Hannah's just chucking along like Mrs. Potter, R.I.P. We're good now. But like she doesn't know about like, you know, whatever Caleb's doing on the phone. So
he's making cold calls.
There's this
he's an SDR.
There's a famous screen grab of the video game designer Hideo Kojima, who created the Metal Gear Solid games and a game called Death Stranding. And like it's the screen grab it's because you be on that phone. So that's what I was thinking of.
That's Caleb. He's on that phone.
It's in reference to one of his games, but to Death Stranding. But
okay. So do you think Caleb is endgame?
No.
Okay.
My gut says no, but like I wouldn't be surprised if it was also. So
and by endgame, I don't even know if that there's still an option at the end, or that they end up together. I guess
I was thinking endgame that they end up together.
Okay, yeah, then we'll play that way
at the end, because I'm assuming they have a relationship in season 1. Peaks, valleys. So I would say no. But yeah.
Okay.
Because here's what my gut.
You're hurting Heather's feelings.
I know. Here's what my gut is telling me.
Marlene hurt a lot of Heather's feelings.
Here's what my gut is telling me across all these relationships. Yes. Except for Paige and Emily.
You don't think Paige and Emily are endgame?
No, I do not.
But you think all the others are?
Yeah.
Potentially? Okay.
But like, here's that like that stupid thing with like betting. Where it's just like, but that's 75%. Or let's see, even when you're like bubbling in answers on a test and there's like CCC. And you're just like, well, that can't be right. So that's the only reason why, like, out of the other 3, Haleb is the one I think is least likely, but it could still. So I'll just say yes. I'll just give in. Just give in to the C's on the test.
Yeah, exactly.
And hopefully get an A.
And then, okay, but not Paige and Emily.
No.
Will Maya romantically come back or just get hurt?
Will get hurt, potentially romantically come back, will not be endgame.
Maya's not endgame either.
No.
Well, okay. Do you think whoever is Emily's endgame we haven't met yet?
Yeah.
Fair. Will Jenna move on from her whole Toby weirdness?
I really hope so. But I think how it's going to go is that Toby's going to have another person that she ropes into her like orbit.
Jenna's gonna have another person.
Jenna.
Yeah, okay.
And then it's gonna be like, ooh, Toby, look at me with this guy that I'm bringing over, blah, 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 blah. And Toby's gonna be like, I don't care. But it's gonna try and use that to like spur jealousy and stuff. But then we'll eventually, through ups and downs, be with someone else.
Find the right man. Do you think it's one of the people we already know?
What if it was Noel?
What if it was Noel?
Rubs my hands together.
Brenton writing his own version of Pretty Little Liar. It's mostly about Jenna and Noel. And
He popped back into my brain, and I was just like, oh, what if there's chess moves going on that I didn't even know were happening? That would
Sean.
be really funny. Oh, God.
Will we ever see Sean?
Joey Benoli.
Jenna Benna? I don't know.
No, I don't think we're going to see Sean again.
I don't think so either. I can't remember.
Or he's going to come back as like a priest, and he's like, peace be with you, Hannah.
Is his dad a pastor? Did he switch religions?
Oh, God, right. I have this horrible thing that I always do since growing up Catholic. It's like everybody operates as a Catholic church. So then when I hear about them doing other things, it's like, you did that at your church? It's like, yeah, it's a completely different religion. Yeah.
Okay.
But Noel or new guy?
A new guy. Okay.
I'm assuming it's a new guy first, and then it'd be very funny if it was Noel later. And then people, because so then they would all be like, Jenna's with Noel? What does that mean?
He can see.
And they'll be called Joel.
Oh, that's cute. I like it.
Or
Nana.
oh, my sweet Nana.
I was like, that's a real name. We could do.
Yeah.
Menace ranking. Ready? Go.
Mona.
Number 1?
Yep.
Okay.
Love Mona, just like big timing Arya. It's just like, didn't work the first time. I'm going to come back tomorrow. I'm going to try again. I'm just going to keep trying to make her feel small as much as possible. And then, okay, so Menace, who else we got on Menaces?
Melissa, we got Jenna, we got Ian. Noel, he's not here.
Yeah, I feel more bad for Melissa than like a really top Menace on there.
Okay.
Jenna's making some moves this week, which is better. The more we get her away from her being in love with Toby, I'm
in general
fine.
Away from Toby.
Yeah, for Toby's sake. Ian is a good intimidation. He's good at being like schmarmy. So I like him as number 2. We'll put it number 2 and then Jenna underneath him.
Ever since he threw that party in Smart House, he just became a naughty guy.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
He's naughty.
He's bad.
Oh yeah, he is
I
bad.
have a feeling he's bad. Yeah, he's good at that, at being like scary and intimidating, and they just put him in places where he's just like, I'm gonna accidentally walk in. Who else is on there? Anybody else I'm missing?
Isn't it interesting that he accidentally walked in and then they also found the trunk with the thing around the same time?
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that suspicious?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if all roads lead anywhere.
I know. Who's to say? Yeah, I think it's just the 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go through your faves. Faves of the girls. Still same ranking?
Yep. Same. Hannah, Spencer, Arya, Emily.
Okay. And then out of everyone, who's some of your faves?
Hannah, Toby, Spencer. That's the Mount Rushmore right there, and then it drops a few before we pick up other people.
Mm-hmm.
We got the S tier characters.
Who do you pick above Caleb or Ezra?
Caleb, for sure.
Okay.
Because Caleb is sad and is also in a very unstable situation in his life, and probably was, I think that whatever he did with the wrong intentions, of course. But I think he has good intentions at heart.
And then do we need to do a secrets recap? Do we have any new secrets?
Caleb from Hannah.
Okay.
But
Arya.
Hannah's is now out in the open with her mom. Her mom found out about Caleb. The Mrs. Potter thing is unresolved.
Done?
We don't know. So that's still that. So I think anything else?
So Arya told Ezra about the Jenna thing, and
yes.
Emily knows, but do the other girls know?
Because Spencer would not be happy with that. So there's that. No.
The other girls don't really know about Emily and Paige in like the level that it's at.
No. And then Spencer and Toby, Emily has an idea, but I don't think everybody else really knows. So there's that too. So it's the relationships at the moment.
So the best ships are romantic.
The love boat.
Exactly. And then a final recap on best guess on who A is. For those of you that are watching the video, Brenton just looked like I clubbed him over the head. As if like you weren't expecting me to ask that on our Pretty Little Liars podcast.
Shuffling papers. Yeah. We'll still go with my Fitz theory.
Okay.
Allie theory.
Okay. String theory.
The string theory, yeah. And Ian being the murderer, but disconnected from A.
Mm-hmm.
And then potentially as a third, Jason being A. I don't. This is a little shaky one because we don't see much of him.
The foundation is not strong.
Yeah, but he could be A to again like try and get back at for Allie's death and uncover the truth and going after people. And so like some of those handoffs and things we don't see is because Jason's not really on screen. So it's a potential one to throw out there.
Isn't it interesting?
Yeah.
Not Jenna though.
No, I think she's one step down from A, but doesn't know about A. Okay. And is like, oh, we can work together like to get at these people. I don't like them either. Any
other murderers besides Ian?
No. I'm like dead set on Ian.
Couldn't be Spencer?
No, I don't think Spencer murdered her.
I think they tried to set it up as like a questionable thing with the flashback they do a couple episodes ago, but it like really didn't stick.
No, it didn't stick in my brain that way. It was Spencer went to go after her.
Yeah, Allie was a menace.
And then that's when she arrived. Okay, so I really need to make that timeline. Okay, I'll do that for next time. I'll make a note of on that night that like they had that argument in the house.
The season finale. You could have your timeline ready so that then we can share it with the class.
Perfect. And so they argue in the house. Mm-hmm. Allie leaves. Spencer goes upstairs but then decides to go follow her. Doesn't find her, and that's when she ends up back at the barn with everybody else being like, "Where's Allie?" That's my best guess for timeline. Okay.
Fair enough. Since we don't use time in this town, who's to say? Because we wouldn't know what time it was.
Exactly.
Any final thoughts on these two episodes?
No. I do have one final thought. I feel like all the romantic scenes in this, I did mention the wish fulfillment thing, but I think it was very like across the things like age appropriate almost. Mm-hmm. It's like it did feel for certain of them like kids, which they are.
Yeah, it did feel very like high schoolers, like which I would say like watching like something like Riverdale and stuff. Where you're like,
that was going to be my one other contention. Like I don't mind it. Like do your thing. We don't. You don't watch teen soaps to like really think about like all
teenagers.
The moral implications of like we were watching like a steamy scene between two high schoolers
because it's really two people in their 20s.
Exactly, yeah, and you want to see it's a soap opera, and it's like I want to see the hot people hook up, and then Riverdale is already to the 9, so it's like KJ Appa,
Well, at least now they like time jumped that one too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But so I mean that has its place, but I feel like this it was like, oh yeah, this feels like high schoolers. Mm-hmm. In like in the positive sense of it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very much so.
Yeah, which I thought was good.
Right down to like Spencer and Toby like being really awkward in the bed. Like I loved
right,
it.
And then Spencer like looking at her hand, like waking up the next day of like I was cuddling him and touching his abs.
I touched an ab with this hand.
Exactly. Yeah, that was my final thought. I was like, ooh, I forgot to mention that.
Long live Spoby.
Here. That's we didn't put the flag up.
Well, I'm gonna find like Spoby fan shirts for you on Etsy. I'm sure somebody still has some they've made at some point.
Oh, they definitely do.
I'm gonna get you a Spoby shirt. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna get you for your birthday.
The good ship Spoby.
The best ship. Well, in that case, do you want to plug?
Yeah. Oh, our plan for the next 2 weeks, because we have 3 episodes left.
Pay attention, class.
Exactly.
Mr. Fitz is talking.
We're gonna be.
He's baby-faced in his 20s.
That's true. Not for long. I'm not gonna have a baby face anymore, but I am taking another lap around 29.
What appointments do you have?
I turned 30 in a few months. But 2 episodes next week, and we'll do the season finale on its own the week after that, and we'll probably do some other behind the scenes stuff, or we'll have a shorter episode. we'll probably have some other extras on there
I
to
think
talk
you'll
about
have
the season
lots.
as a whole.
I think you'll have lots of thoughts at the end of the finale.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, every finale on the show, mid-season and season finales are very robust.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, and I think I would like to watch once we finish it the behind the scenes stuff on the DVD and see if there's anything good there.
Mm-hmm.
Once we finish it.
All right.
Yeah. So 2 episodes next week, and then the finale will be on its own.
Well, we can go through your timeline.
Yes. I'll put together my slides.
Perfect. All right. Well, when we're not here doing this, sometimes I am sitting over there doing career coaching. I am a life and career coach. I help people figure out what they want to do, how they want to do it, how to separate themselves from their jobs. You know, like maybe you're so much more than what you do for a living. Maybe your job is the least interesting thing about you. I don't know. It's a fun idea.
How weird.
If you want to talk about it, you can find all of my details and all of my social media. I post everything under the sun on TikTok. I refuse to have a niche. I don't have that kind of energy in me. Over on butreallythough.com. Though is spelled THO, and it'll be linked below. Will you link my link tree below?
Yes.
This is me pointing down below for those.
I think I need to go back and do that for a couple episodes, but it'll be on this one.
Mm-hmm. You can also put it in the about section on the YouTube channel. That way it's just always there.
I believe I do.
Okay,
While I do plugs, I will check that.
Okay.
You can find this podcast on all your podcast platforms of choice for the audio version under Dead Ends, or on YouTube for under Dead Ends.
Uh-huh.
You can also find the Let's Plays we do on my channel Burger Discourse. That is on YouTube. We're doing Kingdom Hearts Reach End of Memories right now. And then you can also find my blog at burgerdiscourse.com. Okay, so I go to my channel.
You gonna go find out?
Yeah, I was like, I can't. Why am I trying to do 2 things at once?
I was like, you're gonna talk and click at the same time?
I can't do this. No, I did not put in the about.
Okay, well, Brenton's gonna fix that.
About, and then
put it in the description.
Yeah, I think I had it on some, and I've just neglected to update because I'm great at this stuff, of course. Yep, and I'll add it on here. Okay,
Perfect.
Cool. So look for those. By the time you hear this, it'll be up.
Wonderful.
Okay, and I have a tagline, so I'm going to stop clicking. We're still here, and we're going to find out everything.
Yeah, and maybe Garrett knows something.
Yeah. What's up with you, Garrett?